Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a quick guide on how to optimally run Timewalking dungeons as a Death Knight. This guide is going to be a lot of me talking and explaining what you need to do, as a lot of it is dependent on gear. Also, before I start, for all those people who think about writing comments asking why this is a thing, having best in slot for time walking, since you can do it with any item level of gear, you can do that, but this is for optimally running them, for mount farming, badge farming, being sick of groups which do 0.9k DPS and take 17 years to finish in one instance. No, it's not necessary to do it, but it's nice to do 20k DPS and have the instance finished in 5 minutes. So the first and most important step is gear. If you've ever twinked before, you know everything revolves around sockets. So gear with the most socket slots is usually the best. However, your main damage as a DK is going to come from a 2-set bonus from Throne of Thunder. This set bonus is a proc which will summon a fallen Zandalari to fight by your side for 15 seconds. Now this has not been scaled yet and does as much damage as it would do if you were hitting a target dummy. It's OP. It can crit for like 25k, and if you're lucky, you can sometimes have 3 up at once. DK DPS is basically centered around the Zandalaria being summoned. Yes, sockets, enchants, etc. help, but your main DPS will be coming from this. Now apparently Blizzard tried to patch this bug by making it so if you only wear 2 pieces of the tier, the Zandalari doesn't do as much damage, but for some reason it works again when you use 3 set tier pieces. I personally am not using full BiS from what I've read about it. For example, Shadowmourne would be BiS for your weapon, which I just don't have. So I'm sure there is a best in slot gear list for DK for time walking, but I just went based on convenience because I did one run of Throne of Thunder and I really don't want to go back and do it again. So I managed to get the tier helm, tier shoulders and tier chest, and my DPS is good for time walking, so I don't see any reason to go back and get the most optimal gear. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to tell you best in slot for every slot that isn't tier related. So I'm just going to leave out the helm, shoulders, chest, hands and legs slot, and then I'm going to tell you everything that's best in slot that isn't that. Best in slot braces are a crafted item from blacksmithing and it's called Braces of Destructive Strength. So the next slot is the back slot, which obviously if you were there in Mr. Pandaria, the best in slot is the legendary cloak, but now if you didn't do that, or if you're new in WoD, you can't go back and get that anymore. So if you don't have the legendary cloak, the best in slot then becomes Sentinel's winter cloak, which you can buy from a vendor in Dalaran. Your best in slot belt is bought from a vendor in Dalaran and it's called the Verdigris chain belt. You'll want to put a belt buckle on it so you can have an extra socket as well. Best in slot feet are from the Ruby Sanctum and it's called Scion's Treads and it has 2 sockets. Your first best in slot ring is going to be the 715 ring that you get from the legendary questline because of the proc. The actual legendary ring isn't very good in time walking because of the reduction they do to it for some strange reason. Your second best in slot ring is Gormonk's Band, which is a drop from Trial of the Crusader and it has 2 sockets. So your first best in slot weapon is going to be Shadowmourne from the ICC questline, the legendary. If you don't have that legendary, then the next best in slot will be Shinka Execution of Dominion, which is from Terrace of the Endless Springs. If you haven't, however, done the legendary quest in Mr. Pandaria where you get the legendary gem, this weapon is not as good as Glorinzelg High Blade of the Silver Hand, which is a drop from ICC. From what I've read, there's been a lot of debate about what the best in slot trinkets are for tanking and time walking, and I really think it's dependent on whether you want to do high DPS or if you want survivability. I preferred having a bit more survivability, that's why I'm using the heirloom trinket that just gives you a shield. However, I know some people are using the trinket, which means you can get like an extra pot basically, the strength ones. Some people are using Blast Furnace's Door, some people are using Dark Moon Fair trinkets, etc. So my advice really for trinkets would be to get as many as you feel as you want and just switch them out and see which ones you prefer or feel more comfortable with. The best in slot neck is Necklace of the Terra-Cotta Protector, which is a drop from the trash in Throne of Thunder. For gemming, because all of the items are so low item level, all you can do is put the pure strength gems in them from TBC. The only item that this excludes from is the legendary cloak, which you can put a Multistrike Taladite in. For enchants, you're going to want to put Gift of Multistrike on neck, Breath of Multistrike on back, Gift of Multistrike on both rings. For feet, Pandaren Step. For your legs, Angerhide leg armor. For your braces, Major Strength. For your hands, Super Strength. For your chest, Glorious Stats. And for your shoulders, Greater Tiger Fang Inscription. And obviously Rune of the Fallen Crusader on your weapon. I know I said a lot of that quite quickly, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a BiS list in the description box below with the best enchants and best gems, etc. I'm also going to leave a link to what my DK is using, which is obviously some items are switched out. I'm also going to leave a link to what someone else's BiS list for DK is. So the rest of your damage is also going to come from rotation and cooldowns and buffs. So obviously if you're running this in a group, you're going to want to get the most optimal composition with buffs. However, the best classes for running Timewalking at the moment seem to be Rogue, Mage, Hunters, DKs, and Druids. For me personally, I'm just using all of the Draenor stuff, so Draenor Flasks, Draenor Potions, the Runes. I'm not sure if you use like the Cataclysm ones, for example, if they give you more strength. I don't imagine that they do, but it might be something you want to check out. And yes, Frost and Unholy DKs are just as overpowered as Blood in these dungeons. It's just easier if you go Blood, as, you know, queues are quicker. But yes, the 2-set bonus from Throne of Thunder also works for Frost and Unholy. All you're going to want to do is change some of the items on this list for more optimal versions, so getting rid of dodge and parry items and going for things with obviously not those stats. But yeah, that's pretty much how you become overpowered in Timewalking as a DK. You just get the 2-set from Throne of Thunder and everything else is pretty much meh. So yeah, if this video helped, please give it a thumbs up, and if you could leave suggestions for any how-tos that you wish to see in the future, it would really help. Thank you for watching.